Bill Belichick has done it again. While everybody in the league has zigged, he's zagging and has innovated his defense in ways only he can. He's changed its very fibers by drafting, acquiring, and developing players with a certain skill set. And despite lacking superstars, the Patriots once again have a top 5 defense with a brand new identity. Belichick has slowly morphed them into something unique, different than everybody else. So today we'll dive into what that is, why it works, and what he needs to do to make them even better. The primary characteristic that sets them apart is their usage of dime personnel, which is used way less by every other team in the league. Dime refers to the number of defensive backs on the field, which is a safety or a cornerback, and when a team is in dime, they have 6 of them, which is a lot. 6 defensive backs is one more than the league's typical meta personnel grouping, which is nickel, 5 defensive backs. But when you have 6, you have more speed on the field because you're taking a linebacker off and replacing him with that 6th safety or corner. Over the last few years, Belichick has packed the roster with extra safeties to create this package. Usually teams don't have 6 different defensive backs who are good enough to play consistently, but recently he's drafted Kyle Duggar in 2020, he acquired Adrian Phillips, Jabril Peppers, they just moved Jalen Mills to safety from corner. Belichick loves using dime personnel because of how versatile the package is. That is the word of the day. I've used it a million times in this channel. A unit that isn't versatile develops very strong tendencies if each guy can only do one thing, and just doing one thing is not good. Belichick has built this defense to do everything, where each of his 6 defensive backs can play every position. They can sit back as safeties, cover receivers as corners, cover tight ends, drop down and play linebacker, and even rush the passer. He loves starting with 2 of the safeties up high so he can rotate them down into any look. This constantly changes what the quarterback is reading post-snap, which makes them uncomfortable. If you think you know what you're doing pre-snap based on where the defense is positioned, and then all of a sudden these speedy defensive backs rotate around after you snap the ball, it's way more likely the QB gets confused and makes a bad decision. They can use these rotations to complicate play action, which is super popular in the NFL, where pre-snap Josh Allen knows he has Stephon Diggs on this deep curl against off coverage, but when he turns his head to carry out the play fake, the Pats rotate, his first read Diggs isn't open, and by the time he turns around, their blitzing safety Kyle Duggar smokes him. Not only can their safeties play too high, but Belichick makes sure his corners outside can play it too. Their late rotations affect the quarterback post-snap, but Belichick also knows how to affect them pre-snap as well. Before the snap, this appears to be cover 0, which means there are no deep safeties. Yes, we have all these guys deep, but that's because in cover 0 they'd be one-on-one man coverage, so there'd be no extra or deep safety to help out. Cover 0 poses a huge threat because it brings 1 extra rusher than the offense's blockers, so just imagine that. You're the quarterback with 5 blockers, they're bringing 6 rushers. Even if you get the throw off, you are getting obliterated by an unblocked rusher. When each of the coverage defenders are lined up in a row like this, it tells the quarterback cover 0 is probably coming. Pat Mahomes called it out in Super Bowl 57 with his Kermit-ass voice.
3rd down, goal to go.
Hey, Mike 57 wide! It's cover 0!
On a 4-yard touchdown pass, Mahomes to Sky Moore. Did not have a TD in the regular season.
So here's exactly what he saw pre-snap. Just like what the Patriots are showing Teddy Bridgewater, all these defensive backs are kind of stacked even with each other, which you don't see in other coverages. Mahomes holds up his hands because he knows it's cover 0, he knows the heat is coming, he has to get rid of it quick, and it is much easier to beat when, yeah, you know it's coming. The Pats had run a version of it against Bridgewater earlier in the game where you can see they again have this 5 across look. They have 1 more pass rusher than the Dolphins have blockers, and Teddy knows it. But Jawan Bentley blows the coverage and doesn't come, so it doesn't quite work. But look how quickly Bridgewater has to get this thing out, and he fires it incomplete. So, then a quarter later, Belichick knows he's shown this look, knows he has the versatility of his dime personnel package to rotate into something else, and knows against a veteran quarterback he'll see what he thinks is cover 0 again, and the fear induced by that will affect him. Belichick uses both his cornerbacks to play the deep safety roles, and has Kyle Duggar show like he's blitzing in cover 0, but falls all the way back to the middle of the field where he intercepts the pass on a master trap set by BB. A major key to his dime package is great communication. They only have so many defensive backs to trot out 6 at once, so these guys constantly play together at the same time, and their chemistry leads to high-level communication. It especially shows up on film when they're playing man coverage, where no team is better at funneling receivers towards their help like the Patriots, where Jones knows he has safety help in the middle, but man coverage means your eyes are locked on your receiver and you follow him wherever he goes. But Jones has the communication and trust with Devin McCourty, where he can take his eyes off his man knowing he has help and makes a play on the ball like it's zone. These man coverage wrinkles can confound quarterbacks and turn simple, easy looks pre-snap into nightmares post-snap, thanks to how they communicate. This is an extremely common concept called lion, which means there are 2 slants. Quarterbacks read this inside to outside 1 to 2, and usually throw it to the second option since a defender will jump the first, which opens the window. This is what it looks like in normal man coverage. This is more 2 ins than slants, but with a slot covered up, that opens up the outside receiver. The Patriots are in man, you can see each defender looking at his receiver. So if you're Jacoby Brissett, you're assuming Miles Bryant is sticking on his man, but Bryant knows cause he has McCourty in the middle, he can fall off, even though this is still man coverage. Belichick is able to break these little rules within his defense because he knows his guys have the communication to be on the same page. These DBs just feel so comfortable working together in man. They know if one of their safeties is coming down to take a route, they can switch responsibilities with him, and they all have great awareness to locate the ball in the air and make a play themselves. Belichick has coached them harder than anybody, but he doesn't just coach them, he teaches them and allows them to make calls, adjustments, audibles on their own without him saying a word. Check out Kyle Duggar here. His eyes are inside on the quarterback and his foot is back behind him, which tells us he's probably not about to drop back with his receiver in man coverage, but is about to push off that back foot to blitz. One of the perks of starting with 2 deep safeties is that you can easily replace a blitzing slot defender in coverage. But when the Browns motion their back just a couple feet to the left, watch Duggar and Adrian Phillips communicate and switch the play. Phillips comes down to cover the back now, so he can't cover for Duggar, who has to stay in man coverage, and the Patriots stay sound despite a lightning quick change right before it happens. Speaking of Duggar, I want to highlight just what a stud this dude is going to be, even though he's not that household name, at least not yet. He has the ability to do literally everything on this Patriots defense, and just one of his many skills is dropping back into coverage with great instincts. Here he is dropping into zone, where first he's going to check the tight end and make sure he's staying in. Check. Then he's going to buzz underneath Gabe Davis, who has Jack Jones over the top of him. Duggar has to feel out whether he's running a curl or a dig, while turning his eyes back to read Josh Allen. So to bait him, he flips his back to Davis to give Allen the idea the outside is open for business. He flips his hips to negate the dig so he can spring towards it if that's what they're running, but then also sinks back into the curl window so he's taking care of both routes. Allen thinks he has the curl outside, and Duggar makes an incredible play. The last thing that is so cool about Belichick's dime package is what he does up front. He's always loved putting 5 defenders on the ball. In dime, it's usually the rest of the non-defensive backs, and he does this to cover up the 5 offensive linemen. When teams just have their 5 linemen blocking, they're forced to man block each pass rusher one-on-one. Knowing each lineman has to lock his eyes and block his guy, Belichick loves using stunts and games to confuse them. This is called a pirate stunt, where 2 pass rushers cross one gap over, which against a man blocking scheme opens up a gap on the other side. You can see the Browns guard and center fully engaged, and Mack Wilson is going to fly into this open gap. The Brownies actually do a pretty good job passing this off. You can see how hard it is for each guy to A, block his guy, then conditionally B, pass him off and block another massive dude flying at him from a different angle. These stunts with 5-man fronts are a lot to handle for any offensive line and lead to a lot of heat on the quarterback. The Patriots have been a top 5 unit in Football Outsiders' DVOA metric the last 2 seasons, and there's actually a way they can get even better. They love playing man coverage, Belichick always has. But after Stephon Gilmore left, J.C. Jackson, their cornerbacks outside last year just were not up to par. Jonathan Jones, Jack Jones, these guys struggled to guard receivers one-on-one, which led to the Patriots' defensive stats not being as good as they could have been. Even if you have safety help in the middle, great communication, a ton of other defensive backs buzzing around, at the end of the day, as a cornerback in man coverage, you'll need to win one-on-one, and they often could not. So, what does Belichick do? He uses the 17th overall pick on Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon, and now they once again have that alpha corner to man things up. The Patriots are in a pretty tumultuous time as an organization where mediocrity has plagued them the last several years post-Brady. But the defense is really, really good. While they've had elite talent in the past, that has certainly helped. The last year or two, they haven't had that sans Matt Judon and Kyle Duggar coming on, as I said, so Belichick had to innovate. He developed and evolved this defense into something that nobody else is doing in quite the same way. He identified a new little advantage to exploit that would make his defense different, and in turn, they have become really good. With the offense sputtering and his back against the wall, regardless, Bill's defense is gonna be good, he's gonna do it his way, and as long as he's the coach of the Patriots, this defense will always be great.